Welcome to the $1 million Mindset Podcast. This is a platform where African leaders put together their thoughts on how to start successful businesses. My name is Manasseh Adina, and I'm a web developer working with Digital4Africa. And today I'm joined with two of my colleagues. On my left, this is Francis Waigata, our CEO and team leader at Digital4Africa. On my right, I'm joined with Eric. Eric is our web developer at the company. So, gentlemen, thank you for making time to join me in today's topic. And as we start this off, Francis, you can just go ahead and tell us a quick thing about yourself, introduce yourself, and then from there we'll pick it up.
Okay, thank you for introducing me. I'm passionate about using technology to solve business problems. And even the reason why we have started this podcast is to ensure we share with our audiences our experiences, the challenges we are facing, the successes we are facing, and sharing the lessons with the general public. So I've been in the tech space for the last, I think I'm now more than 24 years into tech. Since I graduated, and I've been working in Kenya. So I could say gain a bit of experience here and there with different organizations. And even at Digital4Africa, we have been able to service different clients with different problems. So there have been failures, there have been successes. So in this podcast, we'll be talking more about what we have learned. Yes.
Thank you so much. Eric?
So my name is Eric Muturi. I'm a web developer at Digital4Africa, and I joined this company some time back when I had a chance to, first of all, apply for a role as a graphic designer. And now I got another opportunity to apply for a web developer, and here we are. In campus, I studied something different. I did agriculture as a degree, a 4-year degree, but circumstances forced me to be here. Yeah.
Sure, that's how life goes.
Yeah.
So, Francis and Eric, today we'll be talking about business, tech, and innovation. Just trying to put our minds around how each of these three different aspects can be able to help entrepreneurs start and just run their businesses in Kenya and also out to the world. Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe just as we start, something quick, Francis. It's about 10 days to the end of 2024. And you've mentioned you've been in business for quite a long time, particularly in tech. And privy to this video, I know you are a passionate blogger and you have your mind out there in terms of sharing content and all that. So maybe you can just quickly tell us what is that one thing that you have learned in 2024, especially in business, tech, and innovation.
Okay, one thing that I've learned this year that is very transformative is the importance of having a community, and also within that community we have what you call true fans. I have been seeing a lot of people coming to us looking for sales and marketing ideas, web development ideas, and all that. But from my experience, what I have seen is when you're starting a business, or when you want to establish a very strong brand, if you have built a community, it is very easy for you to sell, because a community comes with trust, it comes with loyalty, it comes with a captive audience. So I have a number of examples that we'll be speaking in subsequent sessions about clients that have come to us, and you realize they're doing a very great job, for example, on LinkedIn, because they have been able to build a community for some time. In the morning, I was having a session with one of the learners, and I was showing some of the successful business people in the country. And when you look at them, if you look at their journey, right? If you look at them right now, you say, oh, this person, so and so is very successful, but you haven't asked them their journey. They'll tell you they started 20 years ago, they started 18 years ago, they started 10 years ago. They have been building trust with customers, they've been building a community, and they have been able to monetize. So that concept around building a community and having your own voice and having true fans, people who will say yes when you try to sell to them anything. They are open because they know you, they trust you, they believe in you, they're willing even to put their money to support your business or to buy any product that you sell. That's a very transformative way of growing a business. Because a lot of times we'll see a young person has come and they are so excited about tech here and there. But if you look at it, they don't have any foundation. They haven't taken time to build credibility, to build a following, build trust. So nobody is willing to invest in their ideas or invest or buy the product that they are selling. So the idea here is, if you think around now in a world of digital media, building a community is a formidable way of growing a business. And this community, you don't have to be, an expert in all social media platforms, but you just need to be an expert or have, like in football, we normally say you can never beat. It's very hard to beat a team when Man U and Arsenal are playing, for example. You'll find if Arsenal is at home, they normally have like an extra player, the home advantage thing. So, and here is the idea of, for example, myself, I have leveraged Twitter for a long time and monetize it in terms of getting customers, selling products on Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook. But you see, I'm very strong natively on Twitter and LinkedIn. If you follow me on Instagram or TikTok, I am not big like you are. I don't have a community, so it's very easy for you to monetize on your TikTok community, your fan base, compared to myself because, well, I am on TikTok, by the way, but you realize nobody wants to know a lot from me. I haven't been able to build trust and mind share around that channel. So the idea I'm saying here is, while every entrepreneur wants us to start a business and start selling immediately, it becomes very difficult. But if you take time to build a community, build trust with customers, and then it becomes easier for you to be able to sell your products. Yeah.
So you've actually talked a lot about creating and establishing a community. Would you say that in this long period of time that you've been in business, would you say that you have been able to establish a community yourself, either as a personal one or a business kind of community, and one that you have been able to monetize for that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Let me tell you the truth. Initially, when Digital4Africa was founded more than 10 years ago, we never used to have any fan base. There was no audience, there was no followers and all that. I started by going to different colleges and business groups to teach people about digital marketing. So I'll go to Tangaza University and teach the MBA students around innovation, and I'm invited to do mentorship sessions with them, or when they're having business competitions and that kind of thing. And many other places like Centonomy, where I was a trainer on entrepreneurship and digital marketing. So initially I was leveraging on other people's ecosystems and that's where I actually got a lot of my first initial customers, or our first customers at Digital4Africa. They came from those ecosystems, places where there is already established trust. So when I go there as a speaker, I speak at an event, people listen to me, you find they will follow me, whether it's a marketing society event or a nation media digital summit event. I go there, speak as a guest, and then when people listen, they follow me. But over time now, we have been able to build a community around Digital4Africa, where we provide training on digital marketing on a monthly basis. So there are people, when they see our ad, they just sign up for the course, or they are referred to people who have already been trained by us. Yes.
That's good. There's one question that I throw to you. You can
Mm.
think about it as Eric introduces himself
Yeah.
and tells us a few things.
Okay.
So I'm normally a particular, especially when I talk to entrepreneurs and business owners who are a bit older than I am.
Mm.
Um, I find their knowledge is quite valuable, but I'm normally skeptical about the generational gap.
Mm.
Okay, so I understand that I've been having interacted with you for quite some time. I understand that you normally would want to focus on a different kind of clientele, like being corporate organizations, multinational. But now being a Gen Z, I will always look out for Gen Zs.
Mm.
So what I would ask you is, let's think about that young man who has worked or has graduated and has worked for about 5 years now,
Mm.
either as an employee or as an entrepreneur, and they're thinking of starting a community, especially having listened to you on this podcast. And
Yes.
now you have inspired them to now venture out there and build a community that with time they can be able to monetize.
Mm.
What are two things that you advise them to get started on, low hanging fruits that they can get started on
Mm.
towards establishing a community that with time they can be able to monetize?
Mm. The truth is, it doesn't mean that we don't really service Gen Zs or small businesses. It's just that there are specific services that we have because we don't just have one service, we have many services. There are services that really fit into the young people, like the training programs we have for website developers or digital marketers or salespeople. An entrepreneur can join, you could just be have graduated and you want to know how can I sell my products online. Um, if it is a web development, a lot of people don't know our first masterclass, which we did over 10 years ago, was a web development masterclass. Actually, specifically software development. We were teaching people how to code. That was our first masterclass. So there is a role for, there is a space for people like Gen Zs and young people who are looking to launch their businesses or build a community on the internet. But in terms of the lowest hanging fruit, it's just to choose one channel that you can start with. You don't have to be an expert in all channels, like 7 channels or 8 channels or 10. You can start on TikTok or you can start on Instagram. You start educating people. The other insight I have is education. Educate people about, study everything about the product that you are trying to sell and the problems that are in that market. And you educate people and show them the solution. It's a very powerful way of building trust and also growing that community. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Francis. So, Eric, I know we may have stolen the spotlight from you, but now is your chance. So, you can quickly just bring us to speed, tell us who you are. I know when Francis was starting Digital4Africa, maybe that's when your career had started. So, you can just bring us to speed, take it over.
So if you can now backdate to when now Digital Africa was starting, maybe I guess now 2014, that's when I was out of high school, when I was now trying to choose a course, the right course to do. And there's too much pressure actually outside there when you're alone, when you don't know what to choose, which is the right path for you, whether to follow money or to follow what you actually want to do, like passion and all those things. There's a lot of notions out there. You should follow your passion. So there's too much pressure being being forced on one person. So you might end up learning a certain skill, or you are doing a skill for the sake of your parents, or you are just following the group, and that is common everywhere. So by then, when Francis was starting Digital4Africa, I was just somewhere there in the cloud, trying to figure out what to actually specialize, the right skill to specialize. So I ended up in a course, a 4-year degree course that I did. Agriculture, I did agriculture, BSc agriculture in University of Nairobi. Then I got a chance to apply the skill after the 4 years, but it didn't materialize according to what I had projected. You know, when you're joining a course, you are doing the 4 years, you have aspirations of what you want to be, but it didn't materialize the way I was thinking. So opportunities like Digital4Africa, actually, like now learning the master class, are just low-hanging fruits, whereby if you can just clinch them, you can get into the space, the tech space. Like if people are lost, they can get a chance, like through Digital4Africa, to revamp their desires and passion, to maybe get themselves back on track.
Yeah.
Like as Francis said, their first masterclass was software development. If then, back in 2014, I knew they were offering such a course, that's something I would like enrolled without even thinking twice, because up to now, I can get the value of software development through Digital4Africa, working under a team, getting innovations up and running. And it's not just websites, it's also supporting the clients, getting the emotion of satisfaction installed inside the clients. Yeah.
I think that's amazing. I've interacted with you a number of times at the office, and I normally find it inspiring that you moved from agriculture into tech, and you're building solutions even bigger than what I can achieve. And yet I studied that tech in campus. So it's always a very inspiring aspect about you. And I'll just want to find out what is that one thing that you have learned this year, because we only have less than a week for us to jump to the next year. And being somebody who studied agriculture, but you have taken some time to get into tech, I know you code a couple of languages. You've interacted with clients this year.
Yeah.
You have taken lead in a number of projects this year at the office. So, what is one thing that you have learned about how 2024 has moved from January up to this point?
One big lesson I've learned is communication. It's not just communication to the client, but communication from within. If there's a problem, by that I mean if there's a problem you are facing, there's no need of spending a whole week without communication. Yes, you can come out to the team and talk about the problem, and then the team can now give you some surrounding whereby they are going to support you. The other communication now comes between now me and the client. The client also needs to feel that their problems have been taken down and we are looking for a solution. Even though you don't know whether you, in theory, you just have the solution, but in practical, you're not sure. But the aspect of communication is really important. Communicating whether you have a problem, communicating the solution, communicating ideas also to help the team, because the team may also be facing their problems. But if you have the idea, you can bring it forward. We evaluate the idea, and if it comes out successful, it's a win for all of us. So communication is really key, as Francis, our team leader, usually emphasizes every Tuesday in the morning, that communication is key. Yeah. If you maybe even miss a meeting and you have not communicated, that it does not paint a good picture, actually. Yeah. And you know well that some developers have that challenge of communication. Not all developers have that skill of communication. You may be facing a problem and the client is trying to reach you and you go under. Yeah. So the biggest takeaway for this year and the remaining days to come is communication, and building on communication, because communication is not an ending journey. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Yeah.
I know you and I like to joke a lot in the office. when we say that, especially when we come out of meetings with clients, and then you ask me, "Umefeel?" So, is there any project that you're working on this year? Of course, being mindful of our clients' privacy. So maybe we may not be at liberty to actually quote
Yeah.
their company names or their individual names. But is there any project that you've worked on or any experience you faced this year that touched on communication? Something, a challenge that you faced on communication this year, especially at the office, maybe even outside the office.
So in there's a time when we had a lot of clients wanting their things to be done urgently. So, and all those problems they are facing were different.
Mhm.
So you wouldn't like have a solution for all of them at the same time. The only way that I was able to come out of the problem is reaching out to the team leader, Francis, our other tech director, who's currently not with us, Brian, and we were able to come up with a solution for a certain problem, which was really key for the clients to get it solved so that their module can move forward. Yeah, so it just boils down to communication. My ability to communicate early enough was able to get the work done in time, because also time management is key. But from communication, I was able to manage the client, and as we speak, and I'm sure Francis is in communication with our client, they are happy. So I still boil down to communication.
Communication.
Yeah.
So Francis, I just come back to you. So as team leader in Digital4Africa, you are managing a lot of moving departments and individuals within those departments. Eric and I, being in the tech team, we have different ways that we relate. I have my own personality. Eric has his own personality. So being at the center of everyone within the company, and especially also being at the center of other clients who are now outside the company, how have you been able to juggle all these different individuals, all behaving in different manner? How are you able to stay at the top of it as a team leader?
I think one of the most important things that has worked for me is the issue of delegation. Because imagine there are times we find ourselves, we have like 17 clients. We are supporting and working with 17 clients. Technically, we are saying we have 17 projects and all of them are running concurrently. It can be very much overwhelming if I have to do everything in that in every project. So what I have seen working for me is, or even for us as a team, is even the reason why we named this podcast the $1 million mindset is the issue of having the mentality of possibility. In fact, the $1 million podcast idea came from a client, gave us a challenge to reach 1 million in sales, $1 million in sales. And it looked very, very huge, very insurmountable, looked very difficult to handle. So the issue of delegation has really worked, ensuring you put the best person at that time for that specific project. And when you feel this person is struggling, you can reassign them to another role or another project where you feel they will be able to deliver. So it's also the importance of understanding what the strength of every person, the skill set that every person brings on the table, and ensuring you're giving each person the best project based on their skill, the skill that works best for them. Yes.
So just to build on that, 2024 has been quite the year, especially for Kenyans, with a lot of things happening in the country. And one of the entities that has taken the biggest hit are businesses. And you are a business owner. So what is the biggest challenge that you have faced this year in terms of income generation, client management? What is that one challenge you faced, and probably how did you solve it?
Okay, one of the challenge that we have faced, just like a lot of businesses are facing currently, is the issue of two things I would say are biggest challenges that I still face them, and a lot of businesses are still facing them today. Skill sets, and number two, human capital, or skill sets and working capital. And when I look at even institutions and corporates in Kenya and SMEs and individuals, you can have a very good idea, but if you don't have the skill and you don't have working capital to be able to implement that idea, let's say you have the people, but you have a challenge getting capital. Let's say you want to sell products. You have the salespeople, but you don't have the money to go and buy the product. So that becomes a challenge. So in my view, looking at 2024 and how it has been, and I think this is a problem that will not just disappear today or tomorrow, the issue of the lack of enough skilled manpower. If you are looking for web developers, you could be having a WordPress developer, and you are looking for someone who can do PHP or HTML or CSS or JavaScript. So the issue of skill sets is something that it's an opportunity. I consider it as a challenge, but also an opportunity where we can invest in developing more skilled manpower in the country. And also, or even taking people who are not skilled, maybe fresh from campus, and putting them in places where we can train them and put them on the road to solve problems for clients. So the issue of skill set and the issue of working capital, it's a problem I see recurring every now and then. And working capital is very obvious. Even the government of Kenya has a challenge raising capital or funds to be able to run all operations. We find county governments don't have enough money. And partly the problem of working capital in the private sector in Kenya is coming from the failure of government to pay suppliers. Because the biggest entity in the country in terms of consumption of services and products is the government. So for example, you build a website for a government agency. Let's say you charge them 2.5 million. They don't pay you for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 12 months. So it becomes very, very difficult for you to run your business and to run your operations. So the issue of working capital is a problem that is there, not just for starting, but also for running. We had an innovation conversation the other day, and we were interviewing people, what is your biggest pain point? And a lot of the people in the room were from manufacturing sector. And a lot of them were either CEOs or CFOs or accountants. Everybody said working capital is the biggest pain point. So it's a problem that is there in the country, but I'm sure maybe next year will be different. We hope that the government can pay these suppliers. They call it. There's a name for it where you find the government has consumed services and it has not been able to pay these suppliers. So all these funds, let's say even $1 billion. The last time I read it was more than 500 billion. But I'm just imagining, if you pay one supplier 1 billion, the ripple effect of that 1 billion being paid to one company, because remember, it's not going to go to the pocket of the owner of the business. It will go to small suppliers, it will go to employees, it will go to customers, it will go to the landlord, it will go to insurance companies paying for insurance services. So the ripple effect of one supplier being paid by the government has a massive effect. And I would wish the government next year will prioritize. I know we have a huge debt obligation as a country. The government also, to open the economy, they need to pay suppliers to reduce that debt so that there is money circulating in the economy. The reason why there is no money circulating in the economy is because the government took services, signed contracts for roads, supplying food, supplying tents, developing different types of projects and all that, and they didn't pay. And this has accumulated for over 10 years. So when you look at the total amount, it's going to more than 500 billion. And that means the private sector is suffering. Because now the government now is borrowing from banks, and yet banks are supposed to be lending that money into the private sector. So there has been like a drying of cash flow in the economy because of that lack of equilibrium. Because the truth is, when you provide the service, you're supposed to be paid within 3 months, so that you are able to pay your bills, to pay your staff, to pay your suppliers, to pay your insurance company, to pay your landlord, and that kind of a thing. Yeah,
that's very interesting. I'm actually fascinated. There's a lot that I've picked from just that response, and a lot of things I've realized actually I didn't know. I think that's quite insightful. And there's one thing that you mentioned that actually caught my mind, and it has just fascinated my thoughts. Having, well, especially when you're talking about the issue of the skill set. So having an arrangement where in the near future we have gentlemen and ladies fresh out of campus being absorbed into institutions that are equipping them with the right skills, not just theories that make it seem like that's how it's supposed to work, but actually practical skills that are able to solve problems in the industry, and then link them out to companies for them to continue solving problems.
yeah,
Because I believe how I view it is, even for these companies to be able to solve those problems that now are able to generate for them income, they are relying on their team, the internal team, to get the job done. So I feel like the success of a company is dependent on the skill set of its team. So it boils down to that specific employee. It boils down to Manasseh as a web developer. Can Manasseh deliver the job?
yes,
Can Manasseh build a website that satisfies the needs of Digital4Africa's clients? Or can Eric build an automation system that can solve a problem in the business environment? So if we're able to create that environment where Manasseh, Eric, and so and so have the skills and they're able to now get the job done, then Digital4Africa as a company is able to satisfy its customers, get income, and continue growing.
yeah, that's a big idea.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I would actually look forward to a day when Eric is leading a team training young men from campus and young ladies, train them on how to build automated software.
Yeah.
Sure. So as we get to that, Eric, maybe I would also want to hear from you. You and I are at the skill set area. Francis is covering us from top, and as we're down there at the skill set. So, as an individual working in a digital marketing agency, what challenge have you faced in 2024, and how did you solve that challenge?
The challenge I had faced in 2024 is the skill, acquiring the skill. First of all, the internet is wide. They always say in tech it's easy to break through tech, but how come not everyone is not in tech? Information is actually readily available in the internet, but not everybody is actually in tech. That's something that we should also ask ourselves. Why are not people breaking through into tech? And yet the information is there in the public domain. We have ChatGPT, the AI models that can also fasten acquiring skills. But the main challenge has been acquiring skills, and not just acquiring skills, but also growing the skill, because you cannot say you are an expert in a certain skill, yet we are living in a ecosystem where things change. 10 years, I'm sure, while Francis was starting Digital4Africa, the topic of AI was not there at all. Everything was the traditional way. If you come across an error, or if you are not able to come up with an idea, if you don't have the talent within you, you're not going to fit the skill set. But now we have all these, we have the internet itself, we have now AI coming up and maturing fast and even overtaking the real human mind. So the main challenge actually is now acquiring the skill, getting the right sources. And I'm sure now with Digital4Africa coming on board, us as a team, we are able to outline a clear roadmap from A to Z, whether it is SEO, the checklists, the what you're about to start as a beginner level in order to get to a pro level SEO expert. I'm sure in the near future, with now growth of AI, there will be a lot of content being released out of that is not authentic. That's what I actually mean. So with Digital4Africa coming on board, training people to acquire the right skills, showing people this is where you're supposed to start, and this is where you can get, and from where you are, this is the extent you can be. That's the way forward as a company, because being comfortable also at a skill is, I can put it, it's actually dangerous being comfortable at a skill. Yeah.
I think that's brilliant, and I hope you take up the challenge of being the one at the front of guiding the few generations to come and the few individuals to come after you on how to acquire skills in coding, because I know you're passionate about coding. So be active, and guide them on how to learn those skills the right way.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Good.
So Francis, just back to you, even as we now think of, we now near towards closing up on our first episode. So the name of this podcast is a $1 million mindset, and our thematic areas are business, tech, and innovation. That's where we want to put our focus on and just shine our expertise, shine our insights, and start up conversations on the internet. So once again, with 2024 coming to an end, and being one of the being actually a CEO and a team leader of one of the best digital marketing companies in Nairobi, what is your $1 million takeaway for the year?
Okay. The insight that I have is currently the fact that with the coming of AI, there's a lot of hype around AI. Very few people are able to implement anything with AI other than just generating content or getting ideas via ChatGPT or Gemini or cloud LLMs. So, but my view is the innovation around AI or bringing AI in the innovation space. A good example is a client that has a lot of data, and they get a lot of data. They are in retail, for example, they sell products online and to different customers. How can we bring in AI so that they are able to get actionable insights and help the management, the CEO and the management level, to make decisions based on insights that is automated, where a CEO just goes to their laptop, looks at the dashboard, because what we have is ERPs and CRMs in many organizations, or social media. The data is coming from those channels, social media data, CRM data, customer relations management data, or ERP data that is coming from the operations of a business like inventory, accounts, and all that. The gap that exists now is how do we leverage AI so that it makes it easier to make decisions. I don't have to wait for a monthly report. And I think that's a task I have, I've challenged Eric to be able to come up with. For example, as an agency, we generate reports for clients every month. And we have to do a very manual process to get an insight from Facebook, from Instagram, from TikTok, from their website, from Google My Business, from email campaigns. Maybe someone filled a form that came via CRM or via a form on their website. So it becomes very, and also maybe we are also making calls to customers. So there is a cold calling and calls coming via the contact line. So how can we use automation, artificial intelligence, and automated systems so that we can have a report, send a link to the client. You will not even send a report, send a link to the client, and they log in and they're able to see this is how my business is doing in terms of sales. This month I've been able to generate this number of leads. The conversions is this, so the conversion rate is this percentage. And AI should also be able to do predictive analytics and show me the trends for the next 6 months or the next 1 month so that I can do better planning. Think about resource allocation, like I should be hiring or I should be looking for capital to be able to hire or buy this new system, because the AI is able to automate and predict and show me actionable insight as a decision maker, so that I don't have to send a very massive report to a client and then they consume maybe a 20-page report with a lot of information from all these channels, and it becomes overwhelming, and yet there is no insight. So I'm thinking the insight here is the use of AI around innovation, around problem solving, around decision making. And I appreciate ChatGPT and Gemini and all that. But what is the role of AI in creating data-driven decision making or data-driven dashboards? Dashboards that are easy to digest, they are very visual, they are very automated. The data is coming from different APIs. All I'm just saying is a dashboard. The management want to say a dashboard.
They like dashboards.
They like dashboards because they want to make a decision.
Yeah.
They don't want to read a 30-page report that has no insight. It just has impressions and clicks. So what does that mean to the business owner or to management? So that's the insight that I have. And that's a challenge also we are taking as Digital4Africa, asking ourselves, can we leverage this new trend of automating data at scale so that our clients can be able to make better decisions based on insight that is actual and accurate. Yeah.
Okay. So there you have it from Francis. How can we use AI to increase business efficiency? So Eric, over to you. Also, as we wind up, very briefly, what is, and I know you'll be speaking from an individual perspective of an established developer. Yeah? So what is the $1 million takeaway for 2024?
So for 2024, I would say we need to tighten up on the data collection channels. In that, with data, we are able to make critical decisions. They may seem small, but they may change the whole landscape of a product or doing services, or the way you provide services. A good example would be with e-commerce projects. If you are to start an e-commerce project, what is your guidebook towards your product selection, towards your user journey? What is your guidebook? And your guidebook could be the data that has been collected over a certain period of time, the most demand product, the way users are interacting with your products, and out of that, you're able to create a product, not just a product, but a solution. So if we can be able to tighten up the data collection channels, we are able to, in the near future, we are going to be able to make decisions that are going to be impactful. Another example would be with COVID-19. If we were able to get data, real-time data on the trends within the medical industry, we would maybe get the vaccines at an earlier stage than getting them maybe like 2 years late. Yeah.
So improving our data collection approaches.
Yeah.
And maybe just one last thing. Are you out there discoverable on any social media platform? One that you are passionate about, business, tech, and innovation, that our audience can find you?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter as Eric Muturi _W. I'm also on TikTok as Eric Muturi, and LinkedIn as also Eric Muturi.
Sure.
Yeah.
Francis, what about you? I know Digital4Africa is one of the channels that you can be discoverable. But I also know you're passionate about your LinkedIn, your LinkedIn and your Twitter account. So maybe you can also go ahead and just share with us.
If you just search Francis Waidaka on LinkedIn or Francis Waidaka on Twitter, you can be able to discover me.
Sure.
Yes.
So, gentlemen, this is the end of our episode 1. Thank you for joining me. And our audience, if you like this episode and you want to tune in to the following episodes of the $1 million mindset brought to you by Digital4Africa, you can go ahead and follow us on our LinkedIn channel. You can go ahead and follow us on our Twitter account. You can also go ahead and like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and just activate the notification bell so that when we upload our next videos, you can always get a notification and tune in to insights on business, tech, and innovation. That's it.